Okay, so we're going to use our belts just to get into that full diaphragmatic breathing, making sure that we use the back of the lungs into those lower lobes. And I find it just really helps to have a bit of proprioception of something pushing against the ribs in order for the ribs to have something to push against, if you like. So take your strap and place it at the bottom of your rib cage, so not kind of up near the boobs, but just below, near those floating ribs. And we want to have the strap relatively firm around the sides here. Now drop your shoulders down your back. So one thing that I find that a lot of students do is their shoulders drift upwards, and that makes us chest breathe. Drop your shoulders. Imagine you have weights at the base of your shoulder blades, drawing your shoulders down. Nice broad chest. Draw the chin in slightly. And then I'm going to get you to slow your breath down and kind of push the breath downwards and then outwards. So you can create a bit of pressure against your belt. And then as you exhale, imagine you're drawing your ribs inwards to create a bit of space here underneath your belt. So breathing slowly down and then out, and then releasing the breath. Just take a couple of kind of natural breaths here. And as you get into the feeling of the breath just moving in and out of your body, maybe start to transition into that Ujjayi breath. So that's with the slight constriction on the back of the throat, with the chin drawn in. We're breathing in and out of the nostrils if we can. And this wonderful breath just makes the diaphragm work harder. So over time, we get a better relationship between the diaphragm and the pelvic diaphragm, and everything just works synergistically much better. So we want to draw the breath down, pull it out. I like to imagine it's like an accordion. You're pulling the accordion wide, and then you're pressing the accordion in. As you exhale, feel that diaphragm pressing the breath out of your body. And as you inhale, slowing the breath down, you can feel those intercostal muscles between your ribs and the diaphragm kind of pulling the breath into all lobes, all parts of your lungs. And create that ocean-like sound to your breath. So this gives the mind something to focus on, and it really gets us that good oxygen exchange that we want when we are focusing on this calming breath. Smooth breath in and out, and see if you can stay with this breath through your practice. And I'm going to get you just to drop the belt now, but staying with that same feeling of the breath coming down and then out here. We'll just unwind the body a bit. So roll your shoulders with nice wide feet, and then take the arms across the midline of the body and just lift and roll those elbows and lift and roll the shoulders. And press down through one heel and then the other heel with nice wide feet. And then slow this down and make your circles a little bit bigger. Unwinding shoulders, pressing your body up and down, up and down. Lovely big swish with those hands. And then take the hands right across the body. Just bend the knees, straighten the knees. Open your hands so you're stretching out through your phalanges, your fingers. Really nice open hands, and we're swishing. This is waking up the central nervous system and just again helping us to get even deeper breaths into those lungs. Wonderful. Let's take it into a discus throwing movement. So throw your discus and then drop down. Throw your discus and then drop down. Breathe in and then breathe out. As you breathe out, open your mouth and just sigh out through a nice loose jaw. We know the jaw and the pelvic floor are deeply correlated, so try to unwind your lower jaw away from your upper jaw. Very good. And just tapping the top of your shoulders. That's the way. And wind your way down, hands just above your knees. Swish your tail from side to side. So you imagine you have a tail behind you, and as you swish it, we get a little bit of a stretch through the back of the body, the gluteal muscles, the hamstrings, and then make your swishes a bit bigger. So we start to go a little bit into these inner thigh muscles. These inner thigh muscles, they run straight up into the pelvic floor. And a lot of women, they become really tight because we sit so much. And when they become tight, they can also create tension in the pelvic floor muscles. So swishing the tail. Now keep your tail swished to this side. Keep the knee bent and bring your toes back. Pump your toes. Get a little bit of vascular flow through the leg by pumping your toes. Pull the toes back. Rub the inside of your legs. Just get a bit of warmth into those inner thigh muscles. There we go. And then swing to the other side. Pull those toes back. Julia, bring the tummy muscles in. If you're holding bubby, just don't want to go into your lower back. Make sure your bum is behind you. Rubbing the inside of your legs here. There we go. Beautiful. Back to swishes. And then coming up and take your hips right around. Massaging those hips around. This is how we get that wonderful vascular flow through the pelvic organs. We get the lymph starting to work properly, cleansing the body. And this really releases lower back rottiness. So one direction and then the other. Now take your hands out to the sides. Drop your shoulders. Middle fingers pulling back. So activating the muscles between the shoulders. Imagine you have an orange between your shoulders and you're just kind of squeezing the orange. And then pause, drop down into your goddess stance a bit more and do little circles backwards with your hands. Good. Little circles backwards. So just squeezing those muscles between the shoulders. These are your rhomboids. They hold your shoulders back in place and just allow us to not be all rolled forward like so. That's the way. Now drop down one side, lateral stretch, breathing right up underneath the armpit. Drop the elbow back. There we are. Now let your head stay here. Drop the hand down. So we stretch right into the neck. Take a deep breath in. Sigh the breath out. Good. And then just coming up and over to the other side. Lateral stretch. So it's taking the arm up, taking it right up and over. Drop the shoulder. Open the elbow. Breathe from your hip up to your armpit. And then taking the fingertips down, breathing from your ear down to your middle fingers. Good. Coming down again, so we're like so, shoulders away from the ears. We're going to lift the tail up and then tuck the tail under. Lift the tail up, tuck the tail under. So breathe in to lift and breathe out to tuck. And then see if you can get that ripple effect of the movement right up your spine and then right up to the head. Exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling. So this is also a really great way to get that relationship connection between your diaphragm, your lung diaphragm, and your pelvic diaphragm. So we're releasing the pelvic muscles and then we're contracting and lifting them. Exhaling. One more. Exhale, and then just roll yourself up, roll those shoulders. Take all of your weight into your left leg, squeeze those thigh muscles in, come up onto your right toes, and then draw your hip inwards. So you are adducting inwards, and then let the knee draw out. Inwards and outwards. Exhale in, release. So as you come in, you want to have your glutes and the abductor muscles working to draw you in, like so. And then see if you can do it a bit faster and take your hands across, give yourself a little bit of an Elvis twist. Exhaling and exhaling. Just a really good bit of movement through the thoracic spine. So that's that mid-spine, where a lot of us, as we age, we get really tight and constricted. And unfortunately, that constriction goes into directly correlates to heart health. So we need to keep this whole area here nice and mobile. Exhaling, also just getting a bit of movement around those hip joints. So taking that onto the other side, squeezing your standing leg muscles up onto your toes, adducting in, releasing out. Adducting in, releasing out. Squeeze inwards, release out, and then see if you can start to do it a bit faster, but with awareness. And exhaling, and exhaling, and exhaling. Good. Wonderful. And then just pause there for a moment. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. release. Give yourselves a shake through the legs. If you've got a bit of wall, we're going to do getting tall against the wall now so that we can create that proprioception of our body standing absolutely perfectly aligned in space. So we know that it's so common for toes to start drifting out, for knees to lock, for pelvis to push forward, for shoulders to be rolled forward, for gut to be completely disengaged here, for head to poke. This is such a common posture. This is obviously exaggerated. Or we end up sticking the chest up and the head up and the shoulders back, but of course this destabilizes our core as well and pulls those recti muscles apart and compresses into the mid-back. So what we're looking for is to be aligned so that our ears sit on top of our shoulders, on top of the pelvis, on top of knees and on top of ankles, and our behind is behind us instead of pelvis pushed forward. So if you take yourself against the wall and make sure there's about an inch behind your heels so that you've got space for your bottom, and make sure your feet are hip width apart. So through the front bony bits here, through your knees, and then lining up with your middle toes. Now let's just lift and spread those toes because we're looking for nice wide foundations for our feet. We really need to look after our feet. And from wearing shoes and especially heels the whole time, a lot of women have got very narrow and squeezed together feet. We want to try and start to give a little bit of love and attention back to our feet. Spread those toes out. Now soften your knees. We don't want to have any locked knees. That just pushes the pelvis forward. So soften the knees slightly and then put your bottom back into the wall. So imagine you have that tail, the tail's going through the wall, and you can imagine somebody's kind of pulling your tail through the wall. So there's that kind of pressing your bottom out behind you sensation. Obviously you don't walk around with your bottom sticking out, but it's just so that we can stop this happening. Okay, so bottom is back. Now I'm going to get you to keep your bottom pushing back, but start to squeeze the orange that's between your shoulder blades into the wall slightly, and then draw your chin in and press the ridge at the back of your head into the wall as well. So connection points, the back of the head, the chest area, the pelvis, and then feet down, and then push the feet out slightly as well. Roll one shoulder and then roll the other shoulder up and down, and then turn the palms to face forward and press the back of your hands and your forearms and your shoulders into the wall. So I know it feels weird, but just try and stick with me for this. So we're going down to our feet again, down and out with your feet. So your arches feel quite lifted and alive. You're going to feel it here on the outside of your legs as well. Back with your bum, back with your arms, back between your shoulders and your shoulder blades, and then back and up with your head. So down and out with your feet, keep the knees soft, back with your bum, back with your arms, back between your shoulders. That's going to help the base of the rib cage come slightly in, and then back and up with the back of your head. Down and out with your feet, keep breathing, back with your bum, back with your arms, back between your shoulders, back and up with your head. Now keep pushing everything back and down and up and back and down and up. And then just move away from the wall and roll your shoulders and roll your head, and then place your head on top of your neck and just stand here for a few minutes. This is Tadasana, mountain pose, and we want to feel as if we had a big heavy bowl on top of our head or a big heavy crown on top of our head. The weight of that, which we're kind of pushing our head into, the weight of it is just dropping down through our skeleton and down onto the earth. So it doesn't feel like we are, straining it in or anything like that to hold on. And we should feel a slight activation through our core muscles here, the back and the front. And we should also feel like we have got lots of space to breathe. Now, if you're holding a baby, you want to be able to stand like this, bend the arm and bring baby to you. You might have to keep swapping sides. You're going to get nice strong biceps, but we don't want to be hiking over. We want to make this our default position so that we really strengthen back into the core. Okay, so I'm going to just do a couple of squats while we're coming from this position to strengthen into our glutes. We know our gluteal muscles they are attached to our sitting bones. Our sitting bones are attached into the pelvic floor. So where our bum sits directly affects where our sitting bones sit, directly affecting if our pelvic floor is nice and lengthened out or is a bit scrunched like so. So let's start by coming down into a chair position, arms out in front to counterbalance. Imagine someone's behind you just pulling your tail back. So often I see this drifting forward. We don't want that. It's just going to hurt our knees and our shins. Instead, knees stay on top of ankles and our tail drifts back like that. Arms up to counterbalance, shoulders back though, so we're not kind of scrunching around through the upper back. Chest is broad, core switched on, back muscles are switched on as well. Now see if you can come down a tiny bit deeper. If your chair was just a little bit further behind you, you'd be kind of reaching your bottom back for the chair. Good. Now we come up on an exhale. The reason being as our diaphragm is pressing the breath out of us, it corresponds with a natural lift up through the pelvic floor. So as gravity pushes our intestines, etc., downwards, we've got a corresponding lift through the pelvic floor muscles. So breathe in. As you breathe out, push through your heels and come up. Now relax your pelvic floor. Just let it drop. Okay, let's come down again. Dropping here. Exhale. As you exhale, push the floor away, squeeze your bum, and then relax your pelvic floor. Just kind of let it drop down again so we can feel how it lifts naturally, and then we let it go. Dropping down again. Okay, so this time as you come up and you exhale, imagine you're kind of stopping yourself passing wind as you come up. So we activate glutes, we activate through the anus, and then relax your whole pelvic floor. Drop down again. Push the floor away, exhaling to come up, relax your pelvic floor, down. Exhaling up, relax the pelvic floor, down. So we can feel what it is like to have the pelvic floor lifted and then relax it. And down. So exhaling up, relax the pelvic floor, down. Push those heels into the ground so that it almost feels as if you're driving nails down through the heels into the ground. Exhaling up and down. Imagine you're throwing a ball and then down. I'm going to do them a little bit faster now. Exhaling up, exhaling up. Sitting bones spread as you come down, draw towards each other as you come up. So you're squeezing your gluteal muscles into your sitting bones to come up. Make sure the pelvis doesn't lock forward as you come up. Good. Do two more. And again. Very good. Just roll your shoulders. We're going to come on down towards the floor. So bend the knees. Fold yourself forward for a moment. Hold on to your elbows. Rock from side to side. Keep the knees as bent as you need to. Just feel as if you are allowing all tension to kind of drop out of your shoulders and out of your head. Pausing here. Imagine you're like a waterfall and everything's just flowing, flowing out. If your shoulders feel okay, you can roll them back. Maybe interlace your hands behind you and then lift the hands up towards the ceiling. Maybe lifting the whole shoulder girdle towards the ceiling as well. Just rinsing out those shoulders. So this stimulates the pituitary gland when we are in a forward fold like this. Really nice and calming on the whole central nervous system. There we go. Give your head a shake again. Hands down towards the ground. And then just walk your hands forward, coming into a downward dog. And we want to imagine that our tail is being pulled back and up towards the intersection of the wall and the ceiling. And then just press down through one heel and then the other heel to open up into those calf muscles and the hamstrings. And roll your shoulders away from your ears. So I like to imagine there are plates underneath the hands and you're kind of trying to spin the plates outwards. Give your head a shake again. And then just dropping down onto your knees and roll those shoulders. So we're going to come and sit for a moment. So I'd like you to sit either just with your bottom lifted with a blanket or a pillow, or if you've got a bolster, something like this, you could straddle it. What we're looking to do is to make sure that the pelvis is very slightly tilted forward. We're not sort of sitting on the ground like that, all rounded and tucked. We want to be nice and lifted feeling like we just came off the wall, feeling as if the spine is lengthened and everything is stacked. Diaphragm is stacked on top of pelvis. Now just feel where your sitting bones are. So remember, the pelvic floor has got the two sides, the sitting bones where the pelvic floor muscles attach, the pubic bone at the front, so just kind of rock forward a little bit, and then the tailbone at the back. And what we want is to avoid sitting on the tailbone, tucking under. We actually want, when we're sitting, for the front triangle here to be in contact with our seat, but for the tail, the back triangle, to be slightly lifted. And if you just take your hand down your spine, down past the sacrum, and take your finger just on the outside of your yoga pants onto the tailbone, where the tail is, and if you kind of tuck under, if you kind of tuck here, and see if you can feel the muscles around the tail as you tuck, you'll probably feel them kind of squeezing inwards. Yeah, and our pelvic floor is now foreshortening. So if we are constantly squeezing inwards, we're going to create tension around the pelvic floor very quickly. What we want is, if you just lift your tail back again to spread the pelvic floor, we want that pelvic floor to be lengthened like a trampoline, so that when we do need to just activate those muscles, they're not already too tight. They have gone from a lengthened state into a contracted state, like so, like a healthy muscle can. Okay, so let's start to connect the breath with the pelvic floor muscles. Remember, we've got the fast twitch and the slow twitch muscles, and we need both. So that diamond shape of the pelvic floor, if we start with a 3-stage lift, I'm going to get you to exhale, and as you exhale, feel like you're hugging your pelvic floor muscles inwards, and then just inhale and relax them all. So those 4 corners, as you exhale, they're just kind of drawing into the midline, and then as you inhale, they're all stretching out. And you can imagine that they've got elastic on the corners and they're stretching out, and then exhaling, drawing them in. So just keep remembering, the exhale is the activation. Exhale to activate. And that's kind of with everything, whether it's a pelvic floor lift, whether you are about to lift your baby or lift a heavy thing of shopping, whatever, always exhaling on activation. So drawing pelvic floor muscles in. Now pause here, breathe in through the back of your nostrils. See if you can exhale and zip upwards, as if you've got high-waisted jeans on and you're drawing that contraction right up through the vagina, through the cervix, towards your tummy button. Now breathe in again, and then exhale, and see if you can imagine you are tightening corsetory muscles. So like your waist and the front and the back are squeezing in towards your spine, but we've got that lift through the pelvic floor. And then just let it all go. And take a couple of breaths. Good. So breathing out to hug inwards, breathe in. Breathe out to zip upwards, breathe in. Breathe out to cinch in your corsetory muscles a bit tighter, and relax it all completely. Do one more in that 3-part. Exhaling, hug in, breathe in. Exhale, zip upwards, breathe in. Exhale, corsetory muscles zip inwards, and release it all. Now let's see if we can do all of that on one fluid movement, one fluid exhale. So it's an in, up, in, but we do 1, 2, 3. Okay, so breathing in, and then exhale, and then breathe in and release. So it's like a plunger. You can imagine a plunger, the flange kind of opens, and then as you exhale, you're drawing upwards. Or I think we've done before the feeling of inhale, like 2 jellyfish on top of each other in the ocean, inhaling, flattening, exhaling, drawing in and up. Inhaling, flattening, exhaling, drawing in and up. And it helps if you have a bit more constriction when you breathe out, like imagining that you're breathing out through a straw, or even more, taking your teeth together and going sss. So let's go straight for the harder version, for the sss, that elongates the exhalation. So breathe in to start, and then breathing out. Hold the lift, and then relax it all down. Okay, relax. Breathing out again. And breathing out. So slow twitch muscles are the drawing in, the lifting up, the holding, and then we also try and slowly release down, so we don't just let it go. Let's try and do one of those. So we exhale, hold, 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 breathe in, slowly release, see if you can go just halfway, and then slowly release all the way down to that basement level and just let the pelvic floor completely relax. Try to activate slowly, drawing in, exhaling to draw up, 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 feeling the corsatory muscles tighten, hold it here, and then slowly drop down and slowly drop down the whole way. So we want to be doing about 10 of these slow twitch muscle activations every day. Exhaling in, drawing upwards, activate tummy button to spine slightly, hold it, see if you can drop down a little bit, and then drop down all the way and relax. So I suggest you do these after you've been to the loo with a squatty potty or a stool underneath your feet to lift your feet up, putting you in that squatting position. Lean slightly forward and then just do your pelvic floor exercises then. So not while you're doing a wee, but afterwards. So exhaling in, up, in, tummy button to spine slightly, holding it, and then slowly, slowly, slowly dropping down. Now the fast twitch muscles are similar, but it's just a lot faster. It's like 1 second up, 1 second down. So let's try and do that. Imagine you are leaning forward slightly as you're squatting. Focus on the front of your pelvic floor, simply because most of us have a lot more strength around the back of the pelvic floor muscles, not so much at the front. And it's harder to get that activation at the front. It's also because we've got most of our pelvic floor muscles at the back, around the anus. So let's just see if we can focus on the front here. And as you exhale, just do it's like you've got a hose pipe there and you're just kind of squeezing the hose and then lifting up and then relaxing down and releasing out. Or I like sometimes say, imagine you've got testicles and then you've got a pair of spectacles on. And as you exhale, you're kind of lifting testicles to spectacles and then dropping down. Testicles to spectacles and dropping down. So exhaling up and down. Exhaling up and down, squeezing in and up and down, squeezing in and up and down. So you can go faster, up, down, 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 and just release. So you want to do about 10 of those fast twitch ones again, and then just totally relax your pelvic floor muscles. So the relaxation, the breathing, that's really, really important. And I think we're going to go straight now into lifting the pelvis onto the bolster, onto your pillows, so we can also take the pelvic organs away from the pelvic floor. And we'll do a bit more of that pelvic floor work, but with our pelvis bolstered. So slide yourself onto your back. Have your bolster or your pillows or your bricks, if you're using bricks, just directly underneath your sacrum. And it's quite nice to have a little bit of a tilt here so that you get a nice stretch through the lower back. It's a really nice release through the lower back. It also helps release those psoas muscles. Those are the hip flexor muscles that run through your pelvic floor and your diaphragm, and they insert into the lower back. So quite often when we're twingy through the lower back, it's because those psoas muscles have become foreshortened, either from the way we're standing or maybe from we're sitting too much. Now, when we're in a inversion like this, we can down train those pelvic floor muscles. We can lengthen them. We can let them all relax. So if you're suffering with pain with sex or ineffective elimination, just discomfort down there, or you feel tight down below, then you want to be spending a good 5 to 10, maybe 20 minutes a day down training, just releasing these pelvic muscles. So starting like this, and then it's nice to move towards baby pose. So knees up towards your armpits, just stretching those inner thigh muscles like so. And you can just gently draw the thighs apart with your hands. And we want to send the breath now into the lower belly and into the groin area, into these inner thighs. And it's called 360 breathing. So it's like we've got a big beach ball from our tummy button downwards, and the breath, both the inhale and the exhale, is just kind of smoothing and relaxing the whole of the pelvic area and the inner thigh area. So take some big sighing breaths out. Maybe massage those ankles while you're here. Big circles with the feet, one direction and then the other. Very good. Now take your knees down towards your armpits and spread your feet out. And you want to have the heels of the feet pressing up towards the ceiling and grabbing hold of your shins or your ankles. Some of you might even be able to reach your fingertips towards the arch of your foot. So if that's you, just make sure your bottom doesn't ping up off your pillow. You want to still press the back of your pelvis into your pillow to make it quite a deep, strong opening stretch through the whole pelvic area. And just drawing the chin back and letting those shoulders be relaxed. Give your jaw a wriggle from side to side, remembering the jaw and the pelvic floor area are deeply fascially connected. And take some long sighing exhalations. Ah. 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 Beautiful. Maybe starting to press those heels away, just getting a bit more into the inner thigh muscles. Good. I'm going to get you to take your right ankle on top of your left knee and just draw the knee in towards your body so that your right knee is dropping out to the side and you're getting a really nice deep stretch into the right hip and the right glute. So when we're tight in the hips, that often constricts the blood flow around into the pelvic floor as well. So we need to look after all the peripheral muscles, not just the tiny little muscles of the pelvic floor. So drawing the knee in. Take some nice deep breaths. I always like to add a little acupressure point here. So the point just below the ball of your foot and into the arch of your foot. In the middle there, if you take your thumb and just massage into that area quite firmly, that is a acupressure point that just calms the whole central nervous system down. It really is brilliant. It's good for your kids as well, actually. It's really brilliant just to calm everything down. Smooth breath. A little bit of extra pressure, bring the knee in towards your chest. Good, and then just swapping sides there. Other ankle on top of knee, drawing the left knee out to the side, draw the right knee in. We're looking for the stretch right down, deep hip stretch, and maybe doing the acupressure point on this side as well. So pressing into the middle of your left foot or just below the ball of the foot at the start of the arch of the foot. To go deeper into the stretch, if you take your left hand and just above the knee, grab hold of the flesh of your thigh and just kind of roll it outwards with your thumb, that's going to take you deeper into the rotator muscles around that hip joint. Good, and a couple of long exhales here. And then just release those feet down. Okay, so we're going to do the same pelvic floor drawing in and up, but now using the bolster. So if you are finding that you've got prolapse or that just by the end of the day you feel really heavy through the pelvic floor, then having your bottom bolstered and then doing some of those pelvic floor strengthening lifts is a really good idea. So you visualize the four corners of the pelvic floor. It's like you're picking up a tissue off the ground, or imagine the plunger coming up. So you exhale, draw in, zip up, and then draw the causative muscles in, hold, and then release it all down. So you're exhaling, drawing in, zipping up, and then drawing in through the waist, holding it, and then releasing down. Exhale, drawing in and up, holding, and inhale, releasing. Exhaling, lift, inhaling, release. So if you imagine you had a tampon in and it had just dropped a little bit, you'll imagine you're trying to pull it up a little bit higher through the vagina, and then you're going even further up through the tummy, right up here, and then drawing in through the waist and releasing. Exhaling. And inhaling, and again. And releasing down. Beautiful. Just take your, if you've got a bolster, just take it underneath your feet, so your feet are lifted, and drop your knees from side to side. So we just release through those inner thigh muscles, the muscle that goes from the inside of our knee right up into the lower back. This very long muscle, the sartorius muscle, gets released when we do this. So wide feet and just window wiping knees from side to side. Beautiful. Okay, so let's take the bolster away for the moment. Take your feet underneath your bottom. Now, we'll make, then also make sure that your back isn't imprinted completely into the ground. We've got a little lumbar curve. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny lumbar curve there. So yeah, we don't want to take tummy button to the ground initially. This is our neutral spine, just like when we're against the wall. Now let's have an exhale to draw in and up, so we know what that feels like. That's what we're going to be aiming to do on each one of these next exercises. So release it down again. Exhale, hug in and lift up, and then release down. Now let's add a bit of action through our bum. So we're going to push the heels into the ground. As we exhale, float upwards until we can feel bum active, and then release back down again. Exhale, push the floor away, come up, bum's active, and roll back down again. So do a couple more of these. So we pause here and then down. And then this time, hold it up and just heel toe your feet a little bit closer together. So we are almost touching toes, hands down to support you, shoulders drawing slightly underneath you. Now push all of your weight into your left heel and stick your right foot out in front of you. So this is stabilizing the pelvis. Tap your toe down, exhale, lift it up. Tap your toe down, exhale, lift it up. If this feels uncomfortable through the front of your pelvis, I don't want you to split your legs, just keep weight through both heels. And then drop that foot down. Take all of your weight through the right heel and stick your left foot out. So again, if this causes discomfort through the back, through the front, or even around your sacrum, I want you to stay with weight through both heels. Drop down again. See if you can transfer the weight back to the left heel. Stick your right foot out. Tap, exhale. Tap, exhale to lift. Tap, exhale to lift. Drop down. Right heel pressing down. Really activating through that right glute. Tap, exhale up. Tap, exhale up. Tap, exhale up. Both heels on the ground. Slowly, slowly, slowly roll the back down onto the ground. And just let it settle for a couple of breaths. Let it settle here. If you need to take the knees in towards your chest just to release your lower back, please do. And if you're doing that, actually, while we're here, let's roll those knees around in a nice big lubricating circle. This just releases the lower back, and it also helps to get a good vascular flow through those rotator muscles around the hip joints. So really good. Press the heels up towards the ceiling. Rub the back of your legs for a moment. Turn the toes out with the heels together. Rub the outside of the legs. Turn the toes back towards your eyes. Rub the back of your legs. Push your pelvis down into the ground. Lovely. Now, take your feet back onto the ground, nice and wide on your mat. So at least mat width wide with your feet. We're going to push the floor away. As we come up, we're exhaling, drawing in. Then we squeeze the knees and the thighs together, release them, and roll back down. Glutes relax, pelvic floor relaxes. So we exhale to come up, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down, relax everything. So coming up, squeeze the knees and thighs, and then come back down. Now next time, let's try and pulse the knees, 1, 2, 3 together. So exhaling up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down, relax everything. Exhaling up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down, relax everything. Exhaling up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, lifting, relaxing down. Last one, pushing through the floor, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, rolling back down again. Now take your toes in towards the midline. We're going to do the opposite. So the knees are coming out as we take our bottom off the ground. Hands down on the ground. And as we come up onto our toes and the heels come up with us. So I'll just show you one. As we exhale again, so activation on the exhale, we come up and we take the knees out. So this is working more on gluteus medius, and then take the knees in and roll back down. So we exhale like a butterfly out with our wings, inhaling, rolling down. Exhale out, inhale down. Exhale out, inhale down. Good. Exhale out, inhale down. Exhale out, inhale down. Fantastic. Bring your knees into your chest again. Circle those knees. Good. Now I'm going to get you to take your feet parallel to the ground and take your hands just above your knees on your thighs. Now we need to exhale, draw up. So feel as if you are stopping yourself passing wind. You're sucking a tampon a little bit higher, a little bit of activation through the front of the pelvic floor too, all at the same time. We're doing that quite strong here. Now see if you can keep doing little puffy breaths out like that as you start to take your thighs into your hands, but you resist by pushing your hands a little bit into your thighs to see if you can hold the lift through the pelvic floor. If you can't hold the lift through the pelvic floor, ease off the pressure, relax, and then see if you can do that zipping up again. And you might find that it kind of helps to have that little bit of pressure in order for you to get that feeling of lift through the pelvic floor. So we are increasing that lift, that strengthening, and then release it all. Take your knees and swirl both knees around one direction and then the other. And we're just going to roll right up into bridge to stretch out everything. So feet underneath the knees, press those heels into the ground, roll yourself up towards your shoulders. Feel like you're sending your knees out away from you. Roll your shoulders underneath your body and either keep your hands pressing down into the ground, breathing out through your shoulders, or interlace your hands behind you and press your hands and your forearms into the ground to really lift and open your chest. Keep sending those knees out so we stretch into the quads, into the hip flexors. Big, smooth, energizing breaths here. And then hands down and massaging one vertebra and then the other as we come down. Good. Back into baby pose to release everything. So holding onto your ankles, your shins, or fingers onto the inside of your feet if you can reach. Now try to imprint your back into the ground now. So both the pelvis and the shoulders into the ground. And maybe rocking from side to side to massage across the spine. Like so. That's it. Very good. We do love a bit of a baby pose, don't we? It feels so nice just to, it's almost like getting the yoga pose, but it feels good just to release all of these muscles. Great. Okay, so we're going to roll onto our sides. You're going to need something to put underneath your head, like a bolster. And actually, I'm going to get you to grab a second prop. So I've got a brick here. So either grab a brick or another firm pillow, something like that. Okay, so starting off just on the side here, I'm going to get you to imagine you're in bed and you've just woken up and you're all relaxed. So you can actually see that this bolster is a little bit too high because look at my head compared to my spine. I'm going to grab a brick instead because ideally, and this goes for when you're sleeping as well, we don't want our head to be pushed up or dropping straight down. We want to have a nice line with our head down through the spine. So that's better for me. Alrighty, so belly's nice and relaxed. As we exhale, we're going to zip up and right up towards tummy button and then get corsatory muscles to tighten so that we create a bit of a hole, a little bit of a gap underneath the side waist, and then relax completely. So we're exhaling, drawing in and up, and then relaxing down completely. Okay, so as you draw in and up, try to make that little gap underneath the side waist and then relax. And again, side waist lifting and then relax. If that's easy for you, I want you to make it harder by coming up onto your forearm. So just challenging a little bit more. You need to suck your shoulder into, suck your arm into the shoulder socket here. And we keep that kind of suctioned effect around the shoulder. Do an exhale to draw in and up, and then we're going to try and take the pelvis right off the ground. So quite strong through the shoulder, but we're really wrapping those pelvic, so these waist muscles inwards and zipping up at the same time. Drop a little bit and then exhale back up again. Drop a little bit and then pull in and up. A little bit, exhaling in and up. Little, good. That's it. Just really zipping in and up and holding and holding, maybe holding here, take the arm up, and let's just give the whole upper body, if you're doing this version, whole upper body a stretch out, toes and fingers in opposite directions, shoulder needs to be fully pulling inwards. And if you're here, exhale, elbow to knee, inhale, exhale, elbow to knee, inhale, we'll do one more of those just to challenge our balance, and releasing down. Okay, so come down onto the ground. Take your fingertips onto your forehead, open your chest just to unwind those shoulders, elbow right back and release. Inhale, elbow right back and release. And one more, inhaling right back and then release and roll that shoulder. Okay, we're just going to come up and over to the other side, or you guys can take your computer and just roll onto the other side. So there we go. I realize I don't have time to do the next one, so I'm just going to do this for the moment. Okay, so starting off, nice relaxed bellies is a lovely thing to do first thing in the morning when you wake up. Get into your Ujjayi breath, so you start to clear your lungs with your Ujjayi, big full breath, and then just start to activate pelvic floor, zipping up, waist cinching in, and then relax down. If you take your hand underneath you so that you can squash your hand, and then as you exhale, you're looking to create a bit of a gap for your fingers, and then relaxing down, exhaling, pelvic floor lifts first. This is the important thing, because what we're finding is that we know how to take tummy button to spine, but we don't first of all know how to activate those pelvic floor muscles. And so if you do just kind of squeeze through your tummy, but you don't first activate through the pelvic floor, we get that intra-abdominal pressure pushing down onto the pelvic floor, which can cause the organs to push down into the vagina, making prolapse worse, potentially making your diastasis recti, your split tummy muscles, worse as well. So really important to get that activation through pelvic floor and then zipping up. Good. So either staying with that one or coming onto the forearm. If you're doing this, have your hands coming straight forward. We want to make sure that the shoulder, so the arm is sucking into the shoulder, shoulder kind of sucking back into the shoulder girdle. So exhaling in and up, push yourself up, little drop, exhale back up, little drop, exhale back up, and exhale, and exhale, and lift, and lift, and lift, and hold it here, pressure through the shoulder, top toes out, maybe stretch the whole side line of the body, breathing, make sure that you're really sucking in here so it's not too hard on your shoulder, and you can always add an extra exhale. So you can see that because I'm not lifting my head here, just working the core, we're not putting any extra pressure down through that side, that middle seam. All right, and slowly come down, just stretching out the other shoulder now. So fingertips on the forehead, inhaling to roll backwards and exhaling. Inhaling to roll backwards and exhaling. Inhaling to roll backwards and exhaling. Beautiful. Come onto your backs just for this last one. Okay, so we've got our head propped. We're going to practice. This helps the recti muscles come in towards each other. But B, if we're about to sneeze or cough, or we can feel there's going to be a sharp pressure downwards, we want to make sure that in that tiny pre-second before we sneeze or cough, we have that instant lift upwards through the pelvic floor. So I'm going to get you to do it slowly to start off, and then we're going to increase the speed. I want you to go exhale, zip in and up, and at the end of the exhale, lift your head off your brick and then release it all down. If you're finding that it's hard to draw pelvic floor muscles in and up, you're finding that as you draw up, you lose the pelvic floor, don't lift your head yet. You're not ready for that bit just yet. So just focus on exhaling, drawing in and up, and then releasing down. If you've got that bit though, increase it by lifting your head just at the last bit of your exhalation and releasing down. Let's do one with this. So we have the 3 stages, drawing in, up, in, and then we're adding a 4th stage with the head off the brick at the end of that long exhalation. So breathe in to set, exhaling, and releasing down. So I'm going to get you to try doing a cough or a sneeze, or a fake cough or sneeze, and see if you can draw in and up before you cough. So it's like this. What we're wanting is for our lower belly to draw in and up on a sneeze, as opposed to pressure from the cough or the sneeze going down into that lower belly. So if you try, you could try putting your hand onto your lower belly. What we want to try and do is go and feel a little bit of a concave and lift here as we sneeze or cough. That kind of thing, as opposed to and feeling this bit bulging out. It'll come in time. Don't expect everything to come together in one go, but there's something to move towards, that activation before pressure goes down. Good. Okay, so I'm going to get you now just to come into a total relaxation. This is a lovely pose to spend 10-15 minutes, especially if you're finding that you are in overwhelm, you're exhausted. We know that when our adrenals are pumping out cortisol, they're not able to produce the hormones that they need to in order for us to feel nice and balanced, for us to be able to sleep well, to have a clear head, and so on and so forth. So this is called Supta Baddha Konasana, and you get a pillow or a bolster to put underneath your knees, and then you get another one or more to put underneath your spine, and you want to have your head just slightly above your shoulders and your chest. You're not kind of opening like that. You're opening, but you're not tilting your chin back. So have either a pillow, or you might get an extra bolster or an extra couple of pillows to tilt this one up a little bit, so it's not directly lying back. So you want to have your bottom either on the bed or on the floor, wherever you're lying, and you've got one pillow or a couple of pillows underneath your knees, so your knees can drop out to the side and your feet can be nice and wide and just floppy here. And then with your vertical pillow, you have it quite close to your bottom and near your sacrum, and then you just lie back, and I'm going to get this blanket here and place it underneath the head. You kind of need to wriggle yourself around. Now for me, this is okay, this is quite comfortable. However, if you're a bit tighter in the lower back, lying straight back is going to not feel so good. So you want to make sure that maybe you've got a couple of pillows. I'm just going to put some bricks here because I've got them underneath your vertical bolster or pillow so that you're lying back and you're still opening your chest, but you're not arching your back quite so much. So just spend a moment or two just finding a position that's really comfortable. The beauty of this position is that it opens these pectoral muscles and it allows for a really good vascular flow around those pelvic organs, opening up the psoas muscles. It's a passive stretch through the body and it's very, very restorative. So it's very good at restoring and calming the central nervous system. So get yourself really comfortable and then just let the eyes close slowly and making sure you're warm, taking a couple of changing breaths here. So that's an inhale through the nostrils and a sighing breath out through the mouth. And just noticing how heavy you can make your bones feel. How heavy you can make those bones feel. And just allowing a sense of relaxation to pour from the very crown of your head down through your skull, massaging around your eyes and your cheeks and softening your lower jaw. And imagining this swirl of relaxation is pouring down through your neck and your shoulders, melting your upper back into your bolster, sending that sense of relaxation down through the torso, releasing all the little muscles along your spine, on either side of the spine, sending that relaxation down your arms, so arms and hands feel heavy with relaxation, and sending that sense of relaxation swirling around the pelvis and then down through the back of the pelvis and into the buttocks, and then around those hip joints and down through the legs, swirling relaxation, down through calves and shins, down and around the soles of the feet, through the tops of the feet, swirling around the toes, and then just allowing your mind's eye to run up and down your body, feeling just underneath the skin surface of the whole of your body. The whole of your body, and starting to breathe slowly now, letting the breath become silk-like and feeling there is a connection between the heart and the pelvis. So as you breathe in, imagine energy, heart energy is pouring down from the heart into the pelvic area, and as you exhale, just allowing that energy to flow and amplify around. Breathing in, drawing that energy and allowing it to surround and nurture and protect and lift and really soften around those pelvic organs. And as you bathe your pelvic organs with the breath and with this love and attention, just mentally sending positive messages of acknowledgement of a lifetime of service. Maybe just asking these organs and the pelvic floor muscles, what do you need me to know? And in this moment, you're not trying to fix or change or figure anything out. You're just listening with love. And just allowing yourself to breathe and soften. Breathe and nurture. Breathe and relax. Mentally saying to your body, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a masterpiece. And I know that you are always trying to protect me. I know that you know how to heal. And just feel into this remarkable instrument of life of yours, this cloak that you're wearing through this lifetime, mentally saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, body. And either allowing yourself to spend Another 5 or 10 minutes, just relaxing in the supported pose. Or if you're ready to come out of the pose, just becoming aware, first of all, of your surroundings. So in your mind's eye, seeing the walls and the ceiling, and the floor and all of your props, visualizing your body lying in this moment in time, in this room. Become aware of the air against your exposed skin. And then start to become exquisitely aware of the feeling of the air through the nostrils, breathing in and breathing out. Coolness of the air as you inhale and the warmth of the air as you exhale. And if you are coming out of the pose now, wriggling into fingers and toes, gently bringing your knees together, just massaging your head from side to side. And then very, very slowly rolling off your props over to one side. And then as fluidly as possible, pressing the floor away and coming to sit so that, again, your spine is nice and long. And find that sweet spot where your head is sitting perfectly on top of your neck. There's no holding. And your shoulders are nice and relaxed and your chest is broad. And just take a moment to appreciate how your body feels at this moment in time, this magnificent cloak that you are wearing through this lifetime. And then taking your fingertips out to the side and turning the palms to face the ceiling. Imagine that energy, light and energy, is pouring down into the palms of your hands. And then as you breathe in, pull that energy up and around your body, stretching your spine, lifting your eyebrows, and then just go, and let it all go. Roll the shoulders back, hands into the heart center, acknowledging yourself for coming and practicing. And thank you so much. The love and light in me bows to the love and the light in you. Namaste.